In this video, we will talk about the winners in the men's singles category of the majors in lawn tennis. The right term is majors, not Grand Slams. Grand Slam is the term for winning all four majors in the same calendar year. So we will start in the year 2000 and reach all the way to 2024. And at the end of the video, we will calculate the percentage of the majors won in the 21st century by the big three of Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, and Roger Federer. So let's get into it. In the year 2000, Australian Open was won by the American legend Andre Agassi. French Open in 2000 was won by the Brazilian legend Gustavo Kuerten. Wimbledon was won by the American legend Pete Sampras. And US Open was won by Marat Safin, who defeated Pete Sampras in the US Open finals. In 2001, Andre Agassi retained his Australian Open title. Gustavo Kuerten retained his French Open title. Goran Ivanisevic won his only Wimbledon title, and Lleyton Hewitt once again defeated Pete Sampras 2 years in a row. Pete Sampras lost in the finals of the US Open. Lleyton Hewitt won the US Open in 2001. In 2002, Australian Open was won by Thomas Johansson. French Open was won by Albert Costa. Wimbledon was won by Lleyton Hewitt, and US Open was won by Pete Sampras, marking the last time Pete Sampras won a major, his 14th, which was a record back then. In 2003, Andre Agassi once again won the Australian Open. That was his third Australian Open victory in the last 4 years. Juan Carlos Ferrero won in the French Open and looked quite promising to have a great career. Roger Federer won in Wimbledon in 2003, and US Open was won by Andy Roddick, which promised to start a year of American dominance led by Andy Roddick. In 2004, Roger Federer won the Australian Open. Gaston Gaudio won the French Open. Roger Federer once again won Wimbledon, and US Open was also won by Roger Federer in 2004. In 2005, Australian Open was won by Marat Safin. French Open was won by Rafael Nadal, a person who struggled in the French Open in years ahead. Wimbledon was won by Roger Federer, and US Open was once again won by Roger Federer. In 2006, Australian Open was won by Roger Federer. French Open was won by Rafael Nadal. Surely it was the last time he won. Wimbledon was won by Roger Federer, and US Open was won by Roger Federer. In 2007, Australian Open was won by Roger Federer. French Open was won by Rafael Nadal. I'm beginning to pick up a trend here. Wimbledon in 2007 was won by Roger Federer, and US Open in 2007 was won by Roger Federer. In 2008, Australian Open was won by Novak Djokovic, the first of many victories. The French Open in 2008 was won by Rafael Nadal. Wimbledon was won by Rafael Nadal, who defeated Federer in one of the greatest matches ever played. And US Open was won by Roger Federer in 2008. In 2009, the Australian Open was won by Rafael Nadal, who defeated Roger Federer in the final. French Open was won by Roger Federer, his first and only French Open title. Wimbledon was won by Roger Federer, marking his 15th major victory, which made him the most successful major winner at that time. US Open was won by Juan Martín del Potro, who defeated Roger Federer in the final. In 2010, the Australian Open was won by Roger Federer, marking his 16th major victory. 2010 French Open was won by Rafael Nadal. Wimbledon was won by Rafael Nadal, and US Open in 2010 was also won by Rafael Nadal. In 2011, the Australian Open was won by Novak Djokovic. French Open was won by Rafael Nadal. Wimbledon was won by Novak Djokovic, and US Open was also won by Novak Djokovic in 2011. In 2012, Australian Open was won by Novak Djokovic. French Open was won by Rafael Nadal, who defeated Novak Djokovic in the final. Wimbledon was won by Roger Federer, and US Open was won by Andy Murray. In 2013, Australian Open was won by Novak Djokovic, French Open by Rafael Nadal, Wimbledon by Andy Murray. US Open was won by Rafael Nadal in 2013. In 2014, the Australian Open was won by Stanislas Wawrinka. French Open was won by Rafael Nadal. Wimbledon was won by Novak Djokovic, and US Open was won by Marin Cilic. In 2015, the Australian Open was won by Novak Djokovic. French Open was won by Stanislas Wawrinka. Wimbledon was won by Novak Djokovic, and US Open was won by Novak Djokovic. In 2016, the Australian Open was won by Novak Djokovic. French Open was won by Novak Djokovic. Wimbledon was won by Andy Murray. In 2016, the US Open was won by Stanislas Wawrinka. In 2017, the Australian Open was won by Roger Federer, his first victory in 5 years. French Open was won by Rafael Nadal, his first victory in 3 years. And Wimbledon was won by Roger Federer, and US Open was won by Rafael Nadal in 2017. In 2018, Australian Open was won by Roger Federer, French Open was won by Rafael Nadal, Wimbledon was won by Novak Djokovic, and US Open was won by Novak Djokovic. In 2019, Novak Djokovic won Australian Open, French Open, Rafael Nadal was the champion in 2019, Wimbledon champion in 2019 was Novak Djokovic, US Open champion in 2019 was Rafael Nadal. In 2020, Australian Open champion was Novak Djokovic, French Open champion was Rafael Nadal, Wimbledon was not organized in 2020 due to the pandemic, and in 2020 US Open was won by Dominic Thiem. In 2021, Novak Djokovic won Australian Open, Novak Djokovic also won French Open, Novak Djokovic won Wimbledon but could not complete the Grand Slam because he lost to Daniel Medvedev in the finals of the US Open in 2021. In 2022, Rafael Nadal won the Australian Open. He also won French Open, did not win in Wimbledon. 2022 Wimbledon men's singles champion was Novak Djokovic, and 2022 men's singles champion in the US Open was Carlos Alcaraz. In 2023, Novak Djokovic was the men's singles champion in Australian Open. Novak Djokovic also won French Open in 2023, and Wimbledon was won by Carlos Alcaraz in 2023. The US Open was won by Novak Djokovic in 2023. In 2024, Australian Open was won by Yannick Sinner, French Open was won by Carlos Alcaraz, Wimbledon was won by Carlos Alcaraz, and US Open was won by Yannick Sinner. So now let's calculate the number of victories by Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, and Rafael Nadal. It comes to the grand total of 66 out of 99. 66 out of 99. That is 2/3 of the majors were won by 3 individuals in the last 25 years. That's something.